Right, something a little bit different today. We're down at Linear Fisheries at the Syndicate Lakes, and you may have noticed on our Facebook page that there's been a certain guy doing very well this year, and that's our good friend John Lloyd. So I'm going to ask him a few questions today and see if we can get inside his mind and see how he's been catching a few of these fish. So thanks for talking to us, John.
You're welcome.
Let's go back into the winter.
Go for it.
You came here in the depths of winter. What was the fishing like here in the winter?
Hard.
Hard?
Very hard. I got back from the Middle East towards the end of the year, last year, going into sort of the winter, into the winter, and I had a mindset of where the fish were going to be on here. Knowing that this end just behind us is the shallower end of the lake, I really wanted to be down the bottom end of the lake, but I couldn't get down there for access issues, but I ended up fishing pretty much this end of the lake. I picked up one fish through the winter, 28-pound common from a swim a few down from us here, called in the flat swim. But other than that, it was just hard going. It was cold, windy, but I learned a lot from it, and I believe which is why I'm doing so well now.
Because you put in the hard work,
yeah,
sort of finding the features and learning the lake.
Exactly. I've sat on here watching the wildfowl, watching the fish, watching what the weather's been doing, watching where the fish have been going with the wind and so on, and it's paid me dividends massively this year by just sitting on here throughout the winter, just studying this place. Okay,
so then we fast forward a little bit to the spring. You had some good hits in the spring. What do you think was like the key aspect why you were catching sort of so many fish, where other people were picking off ones and twos? Other people were having some good hits as well.
Yeah.
What do you think one of the main sort of points is that's been keeping bites coming? Is it the way you've baited? Have you gone for less bait? Have you changed to boilies? Have you done particles, maggots? What have you done?
Okay. Well, firstly, I changed my hook baits along with my bottom baits to the HMV.
Okay.
So I was very fortunate from yourself to get 3 kilos through the winter, which is what did me that
very first batch, wasn't it?
Very
first trial batch.
Very first batch did me a bite on St John's, and then started introducing it when it was all released officially, and I started introducing it here, and my capture rates doubled. But the way I approached it, my angling usually is bait, spod, whereas I've listened to the likes of yourself and a good friend Ian Jeevans of mine, and they've all said just step back a little bit from the baiting aspect, and I'm now fishing for a bite at a time.
Yeah.
When I'm turning up to a swim, say I turn up here for the first time, never fished it now, I'm finding the spots and I'm introducing my rigs to start with, but I'm putting maybe 4-5 maximum spoms over each rig. Mm-hmm. And then every time I'm getting a bite, I'm just topping it up with 2, maybe 3, depending on how I feel the fish are feeding.
That's a very important aspect, especially down here at Linear, where these waters see stupid amounts of bait. Mm-hmm. I've said it on other videos before. You don't need to use loads of bait, perhaps a little bit less, but a little bit more accurately, and some good quality bait will get you more bites. So you're saying by using less and sort of refining your approach, you've been definitely getting more consistent action rather than heavy hit baiting and sitting and waiting. Yeah, that's definitely not the way to go.
Exactly. Less has been more for me this year. I've been introducing the 12mm power lifters on a stiff hinge rig. That's my go-to rig now, even in the winter time. I'm not really a solid bag man, but I like my boilies. I'm a boilie angler, and I do like my particler as well, but I have stepped back with my baiting approach, which has done me 53 fish on here now this year.
Well, that's a good result. Let's just you said about the HMV Pro there. Now, obviously that bait hasn't been out very long, and I've seen people go, it's one of the best baits I've ever used, and I've also seen people go, it's quite expensive. What would you say to people that were thinking about using it? It is £10 a kilo when bought in bulk, and there are no concessions to make it much cheaper. What would you say to those people that are having sort of doubts and reservations about using an expensive bait?
Buy it, use it. I'm not going to lie, gents, ladies. It is a phenomenal bait. Regardless of whether you're going to be spending a tenner through Blake's or through other various companies, I would try it, and I mean, it will catch you more fish. It will catch you more fish.
The theory behind the HMV Pro is it's a much higher quality bait. It's why it's more expensive. But on the flip side, because it's high protein bait, you don't need to put 15 kilos out. I've been fishing a big fish water myself, and I'm only using half a kilo or a kilo. I'm using probably the least bait out of most people on the lake.
Yeah.
And it's been getting me quite a few sort of big fish. You don't need to use loads and loads of bait. It's no different here. If he comes here and he just uses a kilo, half a kilo, he's still getting loads of bites. But you've just got to make sure you're putting that bait in the right place and not wasting it.
No.
So rather than going and spending money on 50 kilos of something else, buy 5 or 10 kilos of the HMV Pro. And it's like we've always said, a good quality bait will catch you spring, summer, autumn, winter. You will not need to change it. Whereas in the past we've always chopped and changed from like Crenella to Snowberry. The whole point behind the bait was just to make sure you can just use it all year round. And we gave it to you in the depths of winter to try, didn't we? And it worked in the depths of winter.
When I get back in November from another deployment, that is the bait that I will be going to. Whereas like Gav's just said there, I would usually switch on to Snowberry, but I've used it through the back end of winter this year, through the spring and the summer. I'm not going to be able to use it through the autumn, but I am going to consistently use it now through the year, and I'm going to put it through its paces, especially on here where you don't get big hits on here in the winter. You maybe pick up 1 fish, 2 fish max, but yeah, I am definitely going to be introducing this in the winter into here.
Okay, so let's come right up to date then. You've had some really good hits of fish, and then you've caught some of the sort of known fish in here, haven't you? What were the names of the fish you caught? Is it the Sergeant?
Yeah, well, I've had nearly all the 18 fish out of here now using the HMV Pro, other than the Big Common and the Uncle Albert. Now,
which is the big
50, yeah. The Uncle Albert's lurking out there somewhere, and it's still eluded me, but I'm determined to get it, you know.
Well, I'm not. If you're catching more than anyone else, or as many as the other people, you've got a really good chance to catch them. And you think you know where it's sort of hanging out and what it's doing.
I do believe that it's sat at the bottom end of the lake, which, defying all what I'm going against, is I shouldn't really be sat here. But at the moment, the bites aren't coming from down there; they're coming from up here. And over the last 2 days, big fish from myself and from Paul have come from this end of the lake, so they are up here. But yeah, so I've had, what have I had? The Sergeant twice, once at £40 2 ounce in April. I've recently caught it 2 days ago at 41.8. I've had the 2-tone Common mid 30, the Corporal at mid 30, Spike at 28 from next door. What else have I had? The Anti-Albert, that came 38. So yeah, I'm literally down to 2 fish now.
Right, so I have a sneaky feeling that before his session is out, because you are about to deploy.
I am, yeah. On the 13th of August, I'm deploying out to the Middle East for 3 months, so that'll take me...
That's going to curb your fishing slightly, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, which is why I'm here for 10 days pretty much consistently. I'm leaving my family to the very last minute as well, because I need to get as much rod time as
fish in.
Yeah, I need to. I'm desperate to catch that fish.
Well, let's hope then that before this session is out, we might get the chance to come back here and take a sneaky peek at this lake's largest resident.
It would be
the icing on the cake before you go.
It would be the icing on the cake before I go. Before I deployed last year, I had a big hit of fish again. That was another 10-day session where I had 17 fish just before I deployed. But that didn't include any of the 18 this year. I've just hit it hard. I mean, looking at my 2008 calendar on my wall, every weekend pretty much since January has got at least
a few fish on
it now, and that has been down to the release of that new HMV Pro.
There you go, you've heard it from the horse's mouth. He's got proof. He's been catching fish every single week, cold water, warm water. He's had his best season ever. I wouldn't bet against him catching the big one. He's done it on the HMV Pro. Jonathan, thanks very much for talking to us.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.